Washington's Rome Odunze, 9th overall. That gives them a top 3 of DJ Moore, Allen, and Odunze at wide receiver. All that makes up one of the best supporting casts in the league for first overall pick Caleb Williams. And earlier this week, Bill Barnwell ranked all 32 teams by their running back, receiver, and tight end units. No surprise to see the Niners repeat as number 1 in this year's rankings. Tyreek Hill and the Dolphins checked in at number 2, and then number 6. That's the Chicago Bears. They're up from 17th in these rankings last year. Mina, what do you want to see from Williams to know that he'll be able to capitalize on being surrounded by this talented skill group that Bill has focused on here?
You know, Laura, one of the reasons why I love the fact that the Bears have surrounded Caleb Williams with this talent, and I agree with Bill's assessment of the skill group, is not only obviously, you want to give your young quarterback good players, it's going to help the offense be more productive, all of that, but what it does for his development mentally. When I think about why young quarterbacks in the NFL struggle or fail, there's a litany of reasons. Bad play calling can play a role, certainly bad pass protection. But something else that you see is when they don't trust their playmakers, they develop bad habits. I think about the Panthers last year where guys didn't get open, and you saw because of that, Bryce Young didn't really have faith in the structure of the offense. When you do have faith, and it helps a lot when you have players like these wide receivers who will get open quickly, who will make difficult catches and make plays in space, is it will teach Caleb Williams to play with more aggression and, notably, anticipation. Getting him to play on time, to play quickly, which he is perfectly capable of, is the most important thing they can do for him in year 1. And starting with this group of skill players is a great way to ensure that.
Yeah, you mentioned the receivers not having faith in the offense for Bryce Young. Other concern in Carolina was that the offensive line wasn't very good, and so he never trusted that he would have time to actually go through his progressions. And that's my only concern here with this Bears offense. I love the playmakers, but the offensive line, especially on the interior, feels like a concern right now. They trade for Ryan Bates, a guy who they tried to sign a couple years ago as a restricted free agent. He really sat last year, didn't play much in Buffalo. He's going to move from guard to center most likely in this offense. Nate Davis, a big addition they made a year ago in free agency, didn't really have a great year. He was hurt at minicamp or hurt at training camp. Wasn't able to really practice very much with a foot injury. That's a concern. Braxton Jones at left tackle, kind of inherited left tackle by default as a rookie. He's done okay, but missed a bunch of time last year. Pressure rate over 14% at left tackle. 3 spots up front where the Bears have question marks heading into the season. And it kind of feels like we're going to be sitting here next summer saying, man, the Bears finally addressed their offensive line after it held Caleb Williams back as a rookie. Hoping he has great numbers this year, but I feel like that's the one weakness for this Bears offense.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Okay, so I want to talk about this because I actually fully disagree with what they're saying here. I mean, I shouldn't say fully disagree, but I think they're totally missing what they need to be able to do with Caleb and why young quarterbacks fail. Young quarterbacks fail for many reasons, but I want to focus on Caleb Williams right here. And I actually think, and to me, the fact what they just said right here highlights why what I'm saying is actually going to be more correct if I do say so myself. Everybody is so obsessed with the wide receivers that they're not even talking about Swift and Cole Kmet. Getting, for a young quarterback, the best friend that he can have outside of a great offensive line is establishing a run game and your tight end. Those are these short yardage plays, whether it be like a screen to like a Swift or a short pass to Kmet. Like, those are the things that kind of move the chains, get everyone situated. When he does miss DJ Moore or Rome Odunze, whether it gets intercepted or he overthrows it, unthrows it, which is going to happen, right, to any quarterback. When you're a young quarterback, it's just things start to kind of spiral. Things start to get a little racy. You're like, oh my God. Things can just unravel very quickly. So it's not even so much that you have a lack in the trust of the offense. It's you start to kind of have a lack of trust in yourself. And it's not like you're losing your faith in yourself or now you doubt yourself. It's just things are not going well for you. And to me, this is actually more easily highlighted in basketball more than anything. You see this all the time, especially with young players, young shooters. When they're missing their shots, it's just like they falling for you and you don't know what to do. You don't know how to magically get the ball in the net. You don't know how to make your threes finally just fall. But when you have someone who's definitely a more seasoned veteran, like a Steph, Clay, whoever, when they miss, it's just a miss. It does not matter. They can airball and the fans can scream airball and it does not matter. And I think with young quarterbacks, a 15-yard pass, a 20-yard pass, those start to feel like 100-yard passes when those things aren't coming for them, which again, it's just the farther you play away, the deeper and bigger plays, it just starts to feel like almost like a cartoon where like you feel like you're a million miles away from it, right? It just feels like cartoonishly large. And that's why getting those short yardage gains are what can benefit a young quarterback more than anything, honestly. It's obviously going to be great to have DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. Like, don't get me wrong, you're going to have these awesome, great splash plays. It's going to be so exciting and all of that. But make no mistake about it, man, having Patrick Mahomes to be able to throw the ball to Travis Kelce is a big deal. Don't get me wrong, Travis Kelce is not only catching 4-yard passes here, but it's still a big deal. Getting that tight end and the running back involved in these games and not completely overshadowed by fancy wide receivers is incredibly important. And that's where so many people's eyes are focused on. They didn't even bring up anything else but the wide receivers. That's what they were talking about. And it's like, again, you're obviously going to want to work with those wide receivers. Do not get me wrong. But in some of these close physical games, yeah, being able to develop that relationship with your tight end and run game is so incredibly important, because then that also opens up the deeper plays, right? The bigger gain plays. Like, that matters. But otherwise, if you're just going to be looking for deep play after, big play after big play after big play, that's also another trap that young quarterbacks fall into. They think, especially if you're a hot shot quarterback like a Caleb Williams, you think like, oh my God, like you start to play not even Madden, but like NFL Blitz or whatever, right? Where you're just like kind of going back and just trying to launch the ball 30 yards down the field every single play. Like, you see a lot of that's where you see a lot of backup quarterbacks kind of fall into that trap too, because it's like, I want to show everyone what I can do with my arm. Let's go. I've been waiting for this moment and I can do it. And again, we know Caleb Williams has an arm and can do all these great things. But again, to me, when you can establish these shorter yard plays, that matters more than anything. And then that is more easily carried into hostile environments. To have brutally tough on the road games against division rivals that, again, some of these farther down the field plays start to feel just cartoonishly big. And I don't care who you are, whether you're Patrick Mahomes, Caleb Williams, Josh Allen, Tom Brady, like, when you're a young quarterback, like, your level of confidence just kind of starts to oscillate, right? I mean, I even think Patrick Mahomes at this point in his career is still kind of like, still sometimes looks in the mirror and has to be like, okay, I got this, especially after maybe a few bad games or a few bad moments in a row. It's just human nature. Everyone experiences that way. And so that's why I just definitely really think that when you have the expectations that Caleb Williams has and can do what Caleb Williams can do, to be able to not have to so heavily rely on just your wide receivers, making these big plays, having these big splash plays, because that's what everyone's expecting. That's what they're expecting. That's what the fans want. That's what the media wants to talk about. That's where the highlights are. It's why even to this day, tight ends are so wildly important in the modern NFL, becoming increasingly more and more with each day that goes by. Yet the wide receivers are the ones who are still making all the money, and the wide receivers are the ones who are still getting all the highlights. When in reality, a lot of football is run through tight ends for multiple reasons. So that's why I think that is what kind of what Caleb Williams and the Bears need to do to kind of set themselves up for the maximum potential. Because if you get that relationship going between Cole with Swift and Kmet, and you establish a run game, you establish these short yardage plays, it just opens up everything. And then in a way, it also kind of helps if you do think that there's a deficit at your offensive line, that also kind of helps protect against that as well. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? What do you think about where the Chicago Bears rank in terms of their core with their wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends? Do you think if you saw before the stat, it showed that they have like the eighth, they're projected to go eighth. I actually think that they'll be at least seventh and make the playoffs. I'm curious if you think that the Bears can actually get into the playoffs. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.